Hi, good people. Welcome to another episode of Fun with Modern C++. Um, Today's episode will be another detour from the main flow of things again. Today we'll be talking about escape sequences. Now, these are very important because as a programmer, you'll definitely come across these, especially if you're working with strings, connecting to databases, networks, and a whole host of other applications. Now, these are important to escape sequences. Basically, is normally a slash character, like the ones you see here on your screen, which allow the to change the meaning of the characters or characters that follow it. For example, if you have a certain string and you want to apply that string into a database, you might want to tell the database not to treat a single quote like as the single quote that it is. So you add a slash. When you have a string that starts in quotes, quote unquote, on either end, you need another one or a pair of another one, others within the same string. You might also want to use an escape character, such as that. Now we have another one, question mark, which prevents the computer from your program from basically translating it as a tray graph, which is the double question mark and the slash there. So to escape this one, you normally want to escape the second question mark to prevent, to tell the computer that basically you actually want to print the two question marks and the slash. And then, of course, if you want to use a backslash again in a string, you've got to escape it. Then there are some older ones, the ones which came from back in the day where you can get the audible bell sound but with a slash a. You can have a in your code you can programmatically enter a backspace. You can do a form feed. A form feed is where you basically, if you're used to those old dot matrix printers with a continuous strip, this basically feeds a certain distance of of what we can call a page. And then line feed is basically also called a new line character. So basically your your text moves up by one line, and then a carriage return is basically the cursor goes to the next line. In most cases, these two are very similar, and where you're not really sure, normally you just want to use the slash n. And then there's the horizontal tab, which is normally for spaces or depending on what the configuration is on your computer. And then we have the vertical tab. And then we have this represented where you can have digits or hexadecimal digits or octals represented in the same way. For an octal value, it has got a limit of 3 characters. And one very popular, commonly used, the most commonly used escape sequences in octal value is the slash zero, which can be used explicitly, and it's also used by the compiler implicitly in, especially in character strings. And we'll have a look at that shortly. And then you have the arbitrary hexadecimal values, which you basically it's the slash x and then the number behind it. And then there's the universal character name, which is a slash u, and then the number that follows it. And then there's also the universal character name down with a capital U. These, especially the hexadecimal, you basically uh, can see there's no length, max length onto it. Now, this is a simple program with example of the escape sequences where you have just a greeting, and then it's basically formatted to come out as though it's a one sentence or a one line letter where it's addressed to the world. So hello world, I just had to say, and then in quotes, what great peeps you are, and then end the quotes, yours truly, so interactive. Well, here you can see I've used double new lines. There I've escaped the quote and escaped it again, and then another double new lines, and then yours truly, and then slash n, uh, which takes us to the next line, and then the salutation, so by interactive, and then uh, we end we end that with a stud endl. Now, if we basically run this task, you can see that it executes right here, and then we can have a look at it. We can look at it using our terminal, which basically we just run the program. So you can see here it's been formatted the way we expect, where you get the hello world um, with the two new line characters, and then I just had to say what great peeps you are in the quotation with wrapped in quotation marks, and then another two lines, and then yours truly, a new line character, and it ends so by interactive. And basically that's what you really want to use escape characters. Normally the escape characters are for characters that are not printed onto screen unless you're using the octal and the hexadecimal and the um, universal character uh, sets here as provided here. Now, all this you can see they are typed in explicitly, but there is a case where you might want, where the compiler will type it implicitly. For example, I can say character greeting, and then of course that's a character array where, and in the greeting we can say something like hello. Now, here you can clearly see there are 5 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what happens, let's see, we're going to use size of to figure out what exactly, how many characters the system thinks it can see. So again, we're going to compile this. We have it done. Back to there. There we can see a 6. So according to the computer, it tells us there are actually 6 characters here. But what happened? Well, basically, the compiler has basically added a null terminator character, which marks the end of a character string. And that happens implicitly on all character strings in C++. So you have to bear that in mind, because a time will come when you have to allocate memory to a string, and you don't want to be forgetting that, because it can cause a lot of problems with your code. Well, anyway, that's it for now. We shall be looking at in our next part of the series, we shall be looking at operators, and we'll be dealing with the assignment operators, I mean, all types of operators, and we will be going in depth into that. So that will definitely be a much longer video. And so with that said, you guys have a great time, have a good night or good day, whatever time it is you're watching this video. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. If you've not started watching this series, I would recommend that you go back to the first video of this series. The link is in the description below. You can get and follow up the series in the order in which you're presented, because this, at the end of it, this will be an entire lesson series that you would really want to get to know. After the next lesson on the operators, we will be getting back now deeper into the actual meat of the programming. We'll be getting back into the code and doing more interesting things. Now, I'm still contemplating whether to start in the beginning and build an actual program, or just leave it open and do basically short scripts and all. So we will discuss that and think about that when that time comes. So goodbye. Thanks for listening.